Hello and welcome back to the polytunnel. Today is a really big day because I am finally getting to plant out my tomato plants. As you can see behind me, I still have a lot of work to do before I start even think about putting the tomatoes in. I need to take all of these plants behind me, my pumpkins, my courgettes, I need to start hardening them off, so I need to move all of them outside. I've got old pots and bits and pieces just sitting on top of the beds that I need to take out, and I need to top up my beds with fresh compost. So a lot of work to get done before we even start in the tomatoes, so I'm going to go get all that prep work done now. Once I'd cleared all the seedling trays and pieces of wood off the top of the raised beds, it was time to top them up with compost. Now, I have two reasons for doing this. The first one being it acts as a mulch and it feeds the beds and replaces the nutrients that the plants would have used up last year. Ideally, this would have been done earlier in the season, but I just didn't have time. And the second purpose it has is that the compost that I've had in it the previous year has really dried out. It's gone quite hard. So I like to put a fresh layer of kind of soft, fluffy compost on top of the beds because it's just nicer to plant the plants into initially. I think it's easier on the roots, gives them an easier chance to spread out into the surrounding soil when it's like a looser, fluffier soil and not the very dry soil that's underneath that's been sitting there all years with no moisture on it. So as you can see, I got all of the beds topped off with the compost. At this stage, I was very hot. It's very hot inside the polytunnel, so it was time to get myself a bit of lunch and restore my own energy and get myself ready to go back in. The next job after lunch and this delicious icy gin and tonic was to take all of the supports that I have tied up from last year down in preparation for planting plants. Okay, so I have taken my tomato out of its cell. As you can see, the roots are looking really nice and healthy. They haven't fully filled the cell yet, and that's the point where you want to get them, just before they fill the cell. Otherwise, if they completely fill the cell, they will start to circle and they'll get tangled up in each other, and it means that once you take it out of the cell and you plant them into the ground, it takes the roots a long time to unfurl themselves and untangle themselves so that they can get out into the soil around it. So we want to ideally avoid them having to put the energy into the roots trying to fight their way out. So if you get them at this point, this is the ideal point to be planting them. Now, these little white hairs that are all over the tomato plants are called trichomes, and they're actually pretty amazing. So they'll protect the plant from all sorts of things like disease, pests, UV light, but they also secrete the oils in the plants that give you that delicious tomato smell. And as well as this, they will also turn into roots if they're buried under the ground. So when I'm planting my tomato plants, I like to put them down till the first set of leaves, the seed leaves, are level with the soil, because by planting these trichomes down, it means your tomato plant will develop more roots. It means it's a more stable plant, but also more roots mean it can take up more water and more nutrients. So to give your plant the best chance, try bury it down a bit deeper to let it develop more roots. Then I put my support in place and I'll leave it there, and in the next video I'll cover how I trail them up the string to support them. But for now I have to get on to plant the rest of the 100 odd plants. And just like that, all the tomato plants are in. It's a job that I'm always just really happy when it's done. It is a bit time consuming, but it's one of those things that's worth doing right because you will get better plants out of it. So we will be back in a few weeks to cover pinching out the side shoots, and I will explain to you why that is very important and how it has an impact on your yield. But for now, happy planting. As always, any comments or anything to say, put it in the section below, and thank you for watching.